She hadn't expected to find them like that. Not in his room, not sitting that close, not looking up at her like she was the one interrupting something sacred. There was nothing dramatic about it, no sounds, no sudden movements, no rush to hide, just stillness, and that made it worse. The way they looked at her, like they'd been there for a while, like she should have known. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, she didn't move, but the image stuck, their closeness, his calmness, the weight in the air that spoke volumes more than any words could. She turned and walked away, and that should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. The scene played on a loop in her mind. It attached itself to everything: meals she tried to eat, walks she tried to take, dreams she tried to have without him. And though she wanted to be angry, wanted to be numb, she just felt broken. She sobbed that night, not from rage, but from that kind of quiet devastation that makes you question every memory that ever made you smile. And as she lay there in the dark, the betrayal twisted into shame, and shame into blame, and blame into this unbearable silence between her and the person she used to be. She felt foolish for believing, for staying, for allowing herself to believe that the version of him who whispered apologies and held her face like it was fragile was the real one. She hated herself for answering his calls, for letting him back in, for defending him to the version of herself that had already started to let go. Because he had proposed, he had promised, and now he was in someone else's arms, wearing the same calm expression he used to wear when he told her she was the only one. The betrayal didn't just undo the relationship, it unraveled her sense of what was real. She couldn't trust her memories anymore, couldn't trust her instincts, couldn't trust herself. That was the quiet grief that followed her in the days after, the grief of not just losing someone, but of losing the version of herself that believed she could be loved without breaking. Weeks passed, but the ache didn't fade. It just changed shape. It settled into her skin, into her bones, into the spaces between her thoughts. She stopped trying to talk about it, stopped trying to cry it out. Instead, she became quiet, not out of strength, but out of survival. There was no one left to explain it to, no one who would understand, no one who had seen what she had seen, so she turned inward. And in that silence, something unfamiliar began to emerge. Not joy, not healing, not clarity, but space. Space to breathe, space to feel, space to observe. She started listening, not to music, not to messages, not to memories, but to herself. And in that space, she remembered something she had once read in the middle of a night just like this one, when her heart had first begun to unravel. Don't fight the pain, don't argue with the story, just watch it. She let the thoughts come, the anger, the longing, the disbelief, but she didn't chase them, didn't argue, didn't try to rewrite them. She just watched. Some days the grief was loud, some nights it was silent, but it no longer controlled her. It visited like a shadow passing through a room, no longer demanding she follow. She started doing small things, not to prove she was healing, but because she wanted to care for herself in ways no one else had. She made her bed, took quiet walks, sat in silence without trying to fill it. She stopped chasing closure from people who had none to give. She forgave, not because they asked, but because she was tired of carrying pain that didn't belong to her. And that's when it shifted. Not all at once, not with a grand realization, but with a simple breath. A moment when she looked in the mirror and didn't feel the need to shrink. A moment when she stopped needing to understand why he did what he did. A moment when peace wasn't this far off goal, but something that existed right here, in the pause between questions. Eckhart Tolle once said that pain is not the problem, it's the resistance to pain that deepens our suffering. And she understood that now, because the moment she stopped resisting, stopped rewriting, explaining, running, she discovered something underneath it all, herself. She was never broken. She had just forgotten how to sit still with what hurt. She had forgotten how to breathe in the middle of the storm. She had forgotten that she didn't need to be chosen to be whole. And in remembering, she returned. And maybe she'll never get the apology. Maybe there won't be a moment where it all makes sense. But she doesn't need that anymore. Because peace was never in their hands. It was in the stillness she kept running from, in the silence she thought would break her, in the space between each thought, where nothing hurts and nothing needs fixing. This isn't the ending she wanted, but maybe it's the one that sets her free. Not by forgetting what happened, but by remembering who she was before she met him, before she lost herself trying to be enough, before love became a battlefield for her worth. And maybe that's what healing really is, not moving on, but finding herself before him.